I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, January the 12th, brought to you in part by Vitalix, the ultimate combination of health and immunity. Get the blue tub. For more information, go to Vitalix.com. Feeder receipts heavy in your auction markets, continuing as we move further in here to the new year. And that's not unusual. We know we've got lighter numbers of feeder cattle this year in general, or this season, than we did a year ago. And we'll stand to benefit from that as we go forward. But still, your receipts, a lot of your sale barns are seeing the heaviest receipts that they see all year round. And we don't have any place to put these cattle. We know that our feedlots are historically full right now. It's been dry around. There's not a lot of wheat pasture. You just don't see hardly any cattle turned out on wheat unless they're being supplementally fed, and that doesn't make a lot of sense. And so we did have some moisture here in the Texas Panhandle, 2 to 3, maybe a little more than that inches of snow, which will help it some. But talking to a lot of guys around, they say they think that their dryland wheat's already died. And our water table is just getting really too shallow to keep dumping water on that wheat until a little bit later. And you don't see very many cattle turned out on irrigated wheat unless it's their own, but not very many leased pastures turned out to those kind of people. So not a lot of cattle turned out there. A lot of our places where you graze in the wintertime, like California and places, they've gotten a little bit of moisture here of late, but not a lot of cattle turned out there. Where are you going to put the cattle? Our grains are getting high. So you may be able to kind of trickle some lighter weight cattle along with some silage or haylage or something like that. Try to get them through, but you're not going to really put together a commodity type ration and think that you're going to have those cattle cheap enough where they might make some money to turn out later. It's just we've kind of run out of places to put these cattle, and I'm going to tell you guys one more time. Why do we have such a big problem? Because we got too many cattle coming all at once. It's the same reason that all of you guys are starting to prepare for calving season all at the same time. And I'm not saying you have to go completely fall calving. Just get out of kilter with everybody else. And it would help smooth out our supplies a little bit. It would make our markets overall better and just help the industry for the most part. But you don't always have to do everything just like your dad did it, your granddad, or your neighbor down the road. Get out of kilter a little bit. And we've just got way too many of these big 6 and 7 weight calves right now to choke. And they are long time weaned, a lot of them now, and they're not bringing a bad price, but you're just not going to have a runaway with them, guys. We're still continuing to see very good demand for lightweight calves, but most people don't have the lightweight calves. You kind of need to calve in the fall to have the lightweight calves, or off kilter with what everybody else is. But these little bitty stocker calves are selling really, really well, as guys are already putting grass cattle together because there's simply not enough stocker type cattle between now and spring to put the numbers together that guys want to have to turn out in your big heavy grazing areas out there. But big runs in your auctions in the Midwest and the Northern Plains. Now at the same time, we're not seeing a lot of delivery of cattle in like your mountain states and in the Southwest that much right now. A lot of those cattle already moved through the fall and up through December there, but not seeing a lot. But a lot of the guys, you guys have got your ear to the ground listening to the information coming out of Oklahoma City. National Western is being held in Oklahoma City. I wished it would stay there. You people that vote and live in your liberal states, sometimes you might lose some of your activities and your events to some of these states that still want to have them. But everybody I've talked to that's been to a National Western event or watched one online or talked to people that were there, everybody is loving it, having it in Oklahoma City. It's easier to get around. Like I said on a previous visit, not all the hotel rooms smell like weed, which is nice. You don't have to walk through a cloud of it to get to where you're going all the time. Not nearly as many hippies and punks hanging out and loitering in your parking lots as you're trying to get around. It's a lot easier to get around with pickups and trailers. People are happy that you're there. If you walk into a restaurant with boots on and you've got a little bit of shit on the toe, nobody's going to raise a fit about it. It's just a better place to have it, and everybody's having a good time. They got the bell ringer video. Superior's having that this week here, middle of the week, and so be a lot of people going to that don't normally get to go to the big Superior videos, and we wish them luck there, having a good sale. It's going to kind of set the trend on some of these spring delivery type cattle. But I'm glad that they're having that in Oklahoma City, but it's not just your big stock shows. Here in Randall County, Texas, so we got a facility that's just right to have a stock show in, and we always have one there, but we've got a judge that's in charge of it. He's not going to allow us to have that, so we've got it dispersed all over everywhere. Sure glad we're going to be able to have it for all the youth. It's a junior livestock show, but my kids are going to be going to Claude, Texas to show their animals. So I guess there's not any COVID over in Claude. I haven't spent too much time there lately. There's not much of anything else over there either, but we're still getting to have it. You're going to have your Randall County Junior Livestock Show in Armstrong County, Texas, but doesn't make a lot of sense. Still a lot of uncertainty going on. Your stock market was down a little bit on Monday to start the week. Even though we've kind of turned away from watching so much of the politics, it's still hard not to watch the dumpster fire that is Washington, D.C. And it's just unbelievable what all's going on there, and everybody's big swings, and suddenly everybody is just frantically scrambling, trying to evict President Trump from, I guess, the world. I don't know how far they think they could kick him to get him gone enough. But I don't know how they're going to get all this done, despite the fact that he's due to leave in a week. It kind of makes you wonder what's coming down. You hear a lot of grumblings around things that are about to hit. But of course, we've been hearing that ever since Election Day. But my gosh, they're sure trying hard, scrambling around to try to get something done in less than a week. They don't ever want to have to deal with him again, or any of his kids, or any of his followers, or anybody that appreciates him. And likely we're just going to be a socialist one-party country from now on if Democrats get their way, and it doesn't seem like anybody else can do anything about it. I mean, we can scream from the rooftops, but it doesn't do any good. You put roadblocks in front of them, they tear them down. So that's what we've got to look forward to there, which is not a great thing when we're in the business that we're in. They're not really friendly to that type of thing. But let's look at your futures market on Monday to start the week. February live cattle futures down $1.07, 113.40. So not too far from where it trades at, and we're kind of hoping that we can hold steady this week, although it doesn't feel really good for that. But I hate to say that out loud, but it just did. April live cattle futures down 95 cents at 118.35. Now, we've been seeing that roll where your longs are getting out of February, they're going into April, and we think we understand there's going to be pressure on that spot market as it's getting closer to come to fruit. But we're not seeing the increase in April that we thought we would see. Likely there's enough people hedging on that and bailing on it at the same time to keep from really showing much support. But you're going out front on your live cattle contracts down 55 cents to up 7 cents. January feeder cattle up 17 cents at 136 even. March up 7 cents at 136.90. So not a lot of difference in your feeder cattle contracts. You're going out from there, and they were up or down a nickel to down 35 cents. So not really much of anything. Your grains were off just a pinch, but not too much. And everybody's just assuming the fact that we're going to have a lot higher feed costs going forward, and it doesn't look like your grains are going to fall out of bed much. In fact, most everybody's expecting them to continue to increase moderately as we go forward. Let's talk about last week's negotiated fed cattle trade in your 5-area feeding region. The weighted average on all those sales in the 5 area come up to 65,800 head, which is down from both holiday weeks that were previous. The 2 previous holiday weeks, your first full week of 2021 has lighter receipts, and that doesn't seem quite right, but that is it. But your previous week, New Year's week, had 72,400 head, and same week a year ago, 58,200 head. But your live sales of steers and heifers ranged in your 5 areas from 108.50 to 112.03. And you think, well, what's that 03? That was your Texas cash pool. Last Tuesday, the top bid, sealed bid on the Texas cash pool was 112.03. That's where those cattle sold. Consolidated Beef Producers putting that together. We'll find that out today, guys. So listen there. Go to Twitter if you've still got Twitter and you haven't abandoned that, at Cattle Trades. They will tweet that out a little after 1 o'clock, and we'll find out what happened with your Texas cash pool. The more of you guys that get involved with that, the better it will be. And so don't just tell your neighbor he should do it. You need to think about doing it, and you don't have to give them your whole show list. Give them a pin of cattle, and let them go to work on it. And then guys are asking me, well, if I let them market them for me, do I have to sell them? Yes. It's not an appraisal service, guys. You have to sell the cattle if you put them on there. They're done, or you wouldn't have them on the show list. Go ahead and sell them. Don't wait till after it's over and puke them. Get out in front and sell them with some guys that are trying to push the market. Give them a little bit of leverage if you would. But most of your market was 112 last week. And we did have enough northern plains and midwestern guys that sold live off the market, mostly in Iowa. That's your weighted average on live steers ended up at 111.27, down just 24 cents from the previous week. So mostly a steady market there. Could be a buck lower in spots, like I said, in the northern plains, in your eastern corn belt there. But your dress trade was steady and spots a little bit better, maybe a buck higher in some of those places. So your dress steers and heifers sold from 173 to 180, largely 176. Quite a bit of 177, but your weighted average on dress steers was 175.79, and that was actually up 12 cents. So not all in all, not a bad trade, and we'd probably take steady again this week, but we'll see what happens with the Texas cash pool on Tuesday. That'll be a good indicator of what's going to happen, like it was last week, and we'll see as we start going forward. Maybe the board will turn around and give some support there, and we could turn out a little bit better. Nationwide negotiated sales, 80,400. Nationwide formula sales, 264,100. And you wonder where your leverage is at, guys. Okay, but of the 80,400 negotiated sales, 33.5% of those, or 26,900 head of them, for the 2 to 4 week delivery. They're kind of setting us up, guys. They know we've got some big numbers of market ready cattle coming here January, February, March, and they've got a lot of cattle that they've already kind of obligated or have confined to them through January for sure. So they're going to try to set the market up here late in January, take back a little bit more margin for them. But they're making pretty good money now, and they're trying to ramp up the slaughter. And they had a pretty big slaughter last week, and we're expecting another one this week. Negotiated grid sales, which some outfits think is our savior, less than 20,000 head, so next to nothing there in your 5 area feeding region. On Monday, did see some Iowa guys already puking cattle at 109 or 111 delivered, which they might say, well, that was almost steady with last week and I got my own trucks. No, you got opportunity cost. You can haul somebody else's cattle with those trucks. So, that doesn't help our market when we see that. Box beef cutout values up and down Choice cuts Monday afternoon, 207.69, up 89 cents. Selects down 95 cents at 195.74. Talk about your feeder cattle markets, or actually let's talk a little bit about what else is going on. Got some big sales going on. Like I said, we've got the Bell Ringer Superior video going on this week. I talked to John Campbell out there at Winter Livestock La Junta. He's got a big run here on Tuesday, about 7,000 head there. He'll have some of those hard little light calves that are hard to find, and you guys get on Cattle USA, you can view and bid that sale right there, or get a bid into Winter Live in La Junta. How about your feeder cattle auction or market real-time index on DV Auction? I want to show you guys how important this real-time index is. This is the index that we put together for you. It refreshes as fast as you can refresh your computer, and it's all your sales that we're gathering information from through Cattle Market Central with DV Auction. It's the same parameters as the CME Cash Feeder Cattle Index based on an 800-pound steer, but 136.14 is your real-time index. That's down 21 cents from the end of last week, or the wrap-up of all your weekend sales there. So off just a little bit, but not bad. But that's on 50,500 head in the pool. So that's a very reliable number. It's a very reliable index that we're putting out for you. It comes out at least a day or day and a half before you get your CME Cash Feeder Cattle Index. But look, it's only 2 pennies per hundredweight from your latest available CME Cash Feeder Cattle Index. If you guys aren't paying attention to that, watching that, if you're interested in your feeder cattle futures at all, it's a very, very important and reliable indicator there, guys. Talk about your big sales on Monday. Of course, the biggest, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma National Stockyards, 11,000 head. And I tell you what, it was one of the few markets that was higher on true feeding cattle. And I think it must be just because everybody's having so much fun there, taking those shows away from Denver at the National Western there. Maybe they've got some guys in town to go to the Bell Ringer sale, and they went to the stockyards and couldn't resist buying some of those cattle. But it was one of the very, very few that sold feeder cattle, and especially feeder steers, higher than a week ago. But it was for sure higher. Feeders steadied at $2 higher. Steer calves, feeding type calves, 600 to 700 pounds, $4 to $6 higher. Steer calves, lighter weight, stocker type steers, steady to $4 higher. Most gain on the 5 weights. And heifer calves were steady to $2 lower. But you talk to anybody, even in your premium auctions, of course those premium auctions were probably trading at a higher price range, but their trends weren't higher on Monday, but they were. And Oklahoma City, the Oklahoma National Stockyards, relies heavily on corporate type orders to come in there. They buy a lot of cattle in there. So that was kind of curious, and you guys might know the reason, but I told you the reason I thought it might have been better, but it was one of the very, very few sales that was better on that. Joplin Regional Stockyard, 7,400 head there. Most all your cattle, all classes, were steady to $2 lower, except for your real little peewee calves weighing under 4.5, and it's really hard to gauge a trend on them anyway, but they sold kind of steady to firm. How about Russell, Iowa? Had a big sale. 4,500 head there for Russell. They do an awful good job there. I had a guy send me a video of the cattle out there, and I mean just the best ones that walk. I tell you what, I think I counted 5 colored cattle out there in a sea of black cattle, as good as you'd ever want to see out there. And I said, who brought those in? But feeder steers, $1 to $4 lower. And that's kind of the way it was in Northern Plains and the Midwest. And I talked to several buyers out there on Monday. It was generally lower. Feeder heifers were kind of unevenly steady. Calves were steady to $6 higher. And that's just been your general trend ever since Christmas, is calves, lighter weight calves, especially stocker types, higher, feeding type cattle lower. I tell you what, Platte Valley Livestock, Gearing, Nebraska, had 3,400 head for a big sale. It was the first time they'd ever broadcast on the internet. with DV Auction. We are installed there, going to be having their regular sales in there. Sure glad to be involved with a sale of that caliber. But you look at that automated market report out of Platte Valley Livestock there, and very impressive quotes there. And that's the whole report put together. But that's all the cattle that went through the auction. But I'm going to tell you what kind of bunches they sell there. How about 364 head in one whack, weighed 760-pound steers, 141.75. How about 224 steers, weigh 800 pounds smooth at 136.50, and 260 head of steers weighed 932, 132 and a quarter. Wow, I tell you what, it doesn't take long to have a sale when you're having them like that. But give you a couple of individual quotes. How about your little market with the big prices? Toby does a good job there, and you know, this may not be the highest price on some Pee-wee calves, but he had the biggest bunch that I saw anywhere, so I'm going to talk about them. Sylvan Grove, Kansas, Sylvan Sales Commission Company, 57 head of little 372-pound Pee-wee steer calves bring $196, guys. There could be some bring over $2, but that's not bad. That's pretty close, but that's a big long string of little Pee-wee calves, and they have them there at Sylvan Grove, Kansas. You might want to look around a little bit and pay attention to that sale, because they do a good job. But your top quote that I saw anywhere on Monday was also out of Platte Valley Livestock, Gering, Nebraska, and Zach Tran top quote for the day: 63 head, 803-pound steers bring $144.75. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.